Dr. Singh, tell us a little bit more about India's current growth momentum. What is needed to be done? What can we expect through the year, in fact, to keep the momentum going, essentially?
I think the momentum's been great, but I just want to stick to this farmers and respond to what Roger's saying. And I think he's absolutely right in saying that, we can't leave about 50% of our population behind. The Prime Minister started something about a couple of years ago with the Agri and the Farm Laws Act. And I think this is something that needs to be done, and done very, very urgently. Because, our study says that the farm gets divided by 2 every 7 years, assuming that a farmer has about 4 kids. And in a generation, the farm, as it is, the Indian farmer has probably the lowest amount of land compared to any other, and the farming is just not productive. India needs a very, very holistic farm act, farm laws, to really make sure that the farmer's income is doubled, because just by sticking to the same thing, I don't think it's going to happen. And this is not only an economic problem, it's also going to be a social problem. Just imagine the disguised unemployment rate in the farming sector is as high as about 60 to 70%. How do you expect an economy to really grow and thrive when 50% of its population are really left behind? So that's something that the Finance Minister, she may not be able to do much through this interim budget, but that's something that the government really needs to think about in the future.
Right. Dr. Singh, a question that everybody wants to know, including myself. We were talking about this off camera. Now, despite speculation about this being an interim budget and not big announcements being on the line, some analysts do say that there may be some announcements for income taxpayers and salaried individuals. Tell us more on that.
I think the Finance Minister must be happy with the rise in the number of filers in the income tax. The tax revenue has been going up. I think the middle class and the salaried class definitely deserve a lower rate of tax, because India is probably the most taxed country in the world, or an economy of similar size. She may not be able to reduce the rate of taxes, but there is scope where something can be done about the NPS, where some more leeway can be given for them to save taxes. Equally important is the debate on housing, interest on housing. I think stayed at about 2 lakh rupees for the last 4 or 5 years. That's just not enough incentive for a person to really go and invest in housing. And housing sector really kicks and triggers an economic boom. So that's something that is doable. I don't know whether she'll be able to do that or not in the interim budget, but let's expect that and let's hope for it.
Right, absolutely. And we, of course, will be tracking all the updates. Dr. Singh will be with us in studio to get us the analysis once, of course, the budget is tabled. Coming back to you, Jim Rogers, you're with us from Singapore. Now, will India look at fiscal discipline, in your view, or will it move away to boost popular welfare schemes? What's your reading of the situation?
Well, I tell people all the time, if you can only visit one country in your life, it should be India, because it's so fascinating. But you also have the most bureaucracy and red tape in the world. You learn bureaucracy from the English, and you took it to a higher plane, as India can do very well. But open up your agricultural area. That is one of the first things I would do. Certainly, you should give incentive to manufacturers and startups. But India could be, the regulations in agriculture, and I'm not a farmer, I cannot tell you what to do, but don't limit the number of hectares a farmer can use. Don't limit anything. Let there be a free market, and let the Indians, God, my gosh, you've got a lot of smart Indians, let them go nuts and do whatever they want to do, and India will be unbelievably rich again.
That's a very interesting statement. Jim, another question. The current macroeconomic fundamentals, the numbers as they stand as of now, how do they help with India's economic ambitions into the next decade?
Well, if India's economic ambitions, I suspect, are to be one of the major economies of the world. I hope that's your ambitions. But to do that, you have to cut out the regulations and the red tape and give people incentives. You talk about incentives for agriculture, do it. Incentives for small businesses, do it. Incentives for women, do it. I mean, do everything you can to think of. I know you want to buy votes, that's something else. But figure out what you can do to make India the strong and powerful economy that it once was. And my gosh, you know, I think you know, there are lots and lots of smart Indians. I see them all the time. Absolutely. Let them go crazy. Let them do what they want. Let them make a lot of success.
Right, Jim, just a final question before I let you go. Can India compete with China when it comes to manufacturing? I think that's a question that we have to ask.
Well, not yet. You know, China has one ethnic group, one language, one everything, and a strong discipline from Beijing, for better or for worse. India has a ways to go. I mean, you have great diversity, which is one of your strengths, but you also have to have more regulation than nearly other country. I don't know if you've ever been to a bureaucrat's office in India, but Amish, you go in, you can't see the bureaucrat. There's so much paper piled up everywhere. If you can cut the bureaucracy, please do, because I have met lots of smart Indians who are restrained by some of the rules. You know, at one time it was illegal for an Indian farmer to have more than 5 hectares. How can you compete with Argentina or Australia or Canada with only 5 hectares? Let them go. Let them open up.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.